The galaxy was unprepared for humanity's sheer audacity. They turned a peaceful negotiation into an all-out barbecue. The horizon of the star K-74 Alpha was bathed in the incandescent glow of distant nebulas, their eerie light filtering through the thick viewports of the UN Atlas. Admiral Harrison Lee stood, hands clasped behind his back, staring into the void. The United Earth Navy had come a long way since the first clunky rockets. Now they commanded fleets capable of crossing the vast interstellar distances, but with that power came responsibility, and occasionally moments of shocking overreaction. "Admiral, the Council is ready for you," said Lieutenant Myers, his voice cutting through the serene hum of the bridge. Lee nodded and turned, his stern face a mask of focus. The Council had called an emergency session after receiving disturbing reports from the outer colonies. Alien fleets, massive, sleek, and ominously silent, had been spotted near human territories. The Zorani, an enigmatic race with unknown intentions, had made their presence unmistakably clear. Entering the war room, Lee faced a holographic table displaying the galaxy's current tactical overview. Around the table sat the brass of the United Earth Navy, each one looking more tense than the last. "Admiral Lee, what's the latest intel on the Zorani movements?" asked General Connors, his gruff voice betraying the worry that no one dared to voice. "We have confirmed sightings of multiple Zorani fleets amassing near Sector 12, Lee reported. "Their trajectory suggests they are preparing for a coordinated strike on our frontier worlds. Given their technological superiority, our defensive measures might not hold without significant reinforcements." Connors frowned. "We've tried diplomatic channels, but they've either ignored or rejected our attempts. They want something, and they're not asking nicely." The room fell silent, the gravity of the situation sinking in. The Zorani's capabilities were largely unknown, but humanity had never backed down from a challenge. "Admiral," said President Allen, who had joined the meeting via hologram from Earth, "we need a decisive action plan. We cannot afford to wait for them to strike first. What do you propose?" Lee took a deep breath. "It's time we show the galaxy that humanity will not be intimidated. We strike first, and we strike hard. Operation Hammerfall." The room erupted in a mix of shock and approval. Operation Hammerfall was a contingency plan, a massive counteroffensive designed to annihilate any enemy fleet before it could pose a significant threat. It was a high-risk, high-reward strategy, but desperate times called for desperate measures. "Are you certain, Admiral?" President Allen asked, her holographic eyes piercing. "This could escalate into an all-out war." "It already is, ma'am. We just haven't accepted it yet," Lee replied, his voice steady. "Our window for a preemptive strike is closing. We need to act now." After a moment's pause, Allen nodded. "You have the green light, Admiral. Godspeed." The UN Atlas, flagship of the United Earth Navy, cut through space with lethal grace. Alongside it, an armada of battleships, cruisers, and support vessels moved into formation, ready to execute the most audacious military maneuver in human history. In the Atlas's hangar bay, Commander Robert Coing oversaw the final preparations. Pilots donned their exosuits, mechanics fine-tuned their starfighters, and Marines conducted last-minute checks on their gear. The atmosphere buzzed with a mix of tension and excitement. "Commander, all units are reporting ready," said Lieutenant Graham, his young face pale but determined. Coing clapped Graham on the shoulder. "Good. This is what we've trained for. Let's give the Zorani a welcome they'll never forget." As the fleet approached the Zorani Armada, the bridge crew worked with clockwork precision. Sensors scanned for any anomalies, communications monitored enemy chatter, and weapon systems primed for maximum firepower. "Admiral, we're within range," reported Myers. "Awaiting your command." Lee's eyes narrowed as he took in the sight of the alien warships, sleek and formidable. The Zorani vessels floated in perfect formation, their eerie blue glow a stark contrast to the human fleet's utilitarian design. "All ships, this is Admiral Lee. Engage Hammerfall protocols, he ordered. Commence attack. The void of space erupted into chaos. Human battleships unleashed a torrent of missiles and energy blasts, their coordinated strikes aimed at the heart of the Zerani formation. Starfighters swarmed out of hangar bays, darting between the massive vessels, engaging enemy fighters in a deadly dance. The Zerani, caught off guard by the ferocity of the human assault, scrambled to mount a defense. Their sleek ships fired back with plasma beams and rail guns, but the sheer volume of the human offensive was overwhelming. "Enemy shields are holding, but we're making a dent," reported Myers, his voice tense with excitement. Lee watched the battle unfold, his mind racing through potential scenarios. The Zerani were formidable, but humanity's strength lay in its adaptability and relentless spirit. "Deploy the Valkyrie," Lee ordered. In the Atlas's hangar, a massive hatch opened, revealing the Valkyrie, a prototype superweapon designed for one purpose: Overkill. It was an experimental railgun capable of firing projectiles at near-light speed with devastating accuracy. "Commander Kuing, you have the honor," Lee said over the comm. Kuing grinned, his face lit by the glow of the weapon's charging coils. "With pleasure, Admiral." The Valkyrie fired a blinding lance of energy, streaking through space. It struck the lead Zerani dreadnought, piercing its shields and tearing through its hull. The explosion was spectacular, a silent inferno that consumed the vessel in an instant. "Direct hit," cheered Graham, his voice echoed by the whoops and shouts of the crew. But the battle was far from over. As the Zerani reeled from the initial shock, they regrouped. Their ships formed a tighter defensive grid, their counterattacks intensified, and the human fleet found itself pushed to its limits. "Admiral, we're taking heavy fire," reported Myers. "Our shields won't hold much longer." Lee's jaw tightened. "All ships, focus fire on the Zerani flagship. We take it down, and the rest will follow." The fleet adjusted, directing their combined firepower at the Zerani command ship. Missiles and energy blasts converged on the target, battering its shields and carving into its armor. The Zerani flagship retaliated, its plasma cannons slicing through the void. Several human ships were hit, their hulls breached, venting atmosphere and debris. "Valkyrie, one more shot," Lee ordered. Kuing nodded, his face grim. "Firing in 3, 2, 1. The second shot from the Valkyrie streaked through space, hitting the Zerani flagship dead center. The ship shuddered, its structure failing under the immense pressure. In a brilliant flash, it exploded, a chain reaction of secondary blasts, tearing it apart. The destruction of their flagship threw the Zerani into disarray. Their formations broke, and the human fleet pressed the advantage, targeting the remaining ships with relentless precision. "Admiral, the Zerani are retreating," Myers reported, his voice jubilant. Lee allowed himself a rare smile. "Pursue and neutralize. No survivors." As the human fleet chased down the fleeing Zerani, Lee knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would learn that humanity was not to be trifled with. And if the Zerani or any other race thought they could intimidate Earth, they would soon realize the folly of underestimating human resolve and capacity for overkill. The Star's Cape was littered with the debris of battle, a silent testament to the ferocity of the human counterattack. Admiral Lee surveyed the aftermath from the bridge of the Yun Atlas. The tension of the battle gave way to a grim determination. Victory had been achieved, but at a cost. The wreckage of human and Zerani ships alike floated in the void, a stark reminder of the brutal encounter. "Status report," Lee ordered, his voice steady, but with an undercurrent of urgency. Lieutenant Myers, still buzzing with adrenaline, quickly pulled up the data. "We've lost 6 battleships, 12 cruisers, and multiple support vessels. Casualty estimates are in the thousands. However, our forces have eliminated the majority of the Zerani fleet in this sector. Remaining enemy ships are retreating towards their home territory." Lee nodded, absorbing the information. The victory was significant, but it was far from complete. The Zorani would regroup, and humanity needed to be ready for their next move. "Admiral, we have a transmission from the Zorani," said Communications Officer Parker, his voice tinged with surprise. "Put it through," Lee commanded. The main screen flickered, revealing a tall, imposing figure of a Zorani commander. His features were sharp and angular, with skin a shimmering hue of blue. He spoke in a guttural alien language, but the translation software quickly rendered his words into English. "Humans, you have struck a blow against us today, but do not think this is over. We will return, and we will bring the full might of our empire upon you." Lee's eyes narrowed. "You attacked our colonies without provocation. We defended ourselves and will continue to do so. If you seek peace, we are open to negotiation. If you seek war, we will meet you with everything we have." The Zorani commander sneered. "You misunderstand our intentions. This is not about peace or war. This is about dominance. The galaxy belongs to the strong, and we will not be bested by a primitive species like yours." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in a tense silence. Lee turned to his officers. "Prepare for immediate hyperspace jump to Earth. We need to regroup and plan our next move, and make sure all ships salvage what they can from the battlefield. We need every resource available." As the Atlas and its remaining fleet prepared for the jump, Lee couldn't shake the feeling that this victory had only scratched the surface of a much larger conflict. The UN headquarters on Earth was a hive of activity. News of the battle had spread like wildfire, and the mood was a volatile mix of triumph and trepidation. In the war room, holographic displays showed the latest intelligence on Zorani movements and projected battle plans. "Admiral Lee, welcome back," said General Connors, his demeanor as gruff as ever. "We've been debriefing the survivors and analyzing the data. The Zorani were caught off guard, but they're rallying their forces. We estimate they could launch a counteroffensive within weeks." Lee nodded, his mind already working through the possibilities. "We need to strengthen our defenses on all frontier worlds and reinforce our fleets. Also, we should consider unconventional strategies. The Zorani are technologically advanced, but we have ingenuity on our side." President Allen, seated at the head of the table, leaned forward. "Admiral, your leadership in the battle was exemplary, but we must also address the political implications. The Zorani are not just another alien race. They are a major power in this galaxy. Our actions have likely drawn the attention of other species and factions. We need allies." "Agreed," Lee replied. "I propose we send diplomatic envoys to potential allies, races that have clashed with the Zorani or have reasons to oppose their dominance. We need to build a coalition." Connors grunted in approval. "I'll start drawing up a list of potential allies and intelligence on their capabilities. But let's not forget that diplomacy can fail. We need to be ready for an all-out war." As the meeting progressed, Lee's resolve only hardened. Humanity had faced countless challenges throughout its history, and this was no different. The Zorani had underestimated them, but that mistake would cost them dearly. Later, as Lee stood on the observation deck of the UN Atlas, he gazed at the stars, each one a potential battleground or ally. The galaxy was vast and filled with dangers, but also opportunities. Humanity would rise to the challenge, as it always had. "We're just getting started," Lee murmured to himself, a small, determined smile on his lips. "The galaxy has no idea what it's in for,